the Ground Zero Mosque. That's what many 9/11 survivors are demanding. The Imam behind the mosque says the location is just fine. Let's bring in Drew Kessler, Managing Director of KMG, who says there are plenty of other buildings that could serve as alternatives. Welcome. So, we were going through this. I went downtown today and I said, if they move, I've been asking them to move it, so let's see if there are any other locations. Drew, you found a couple of places.
Well, first off, just from the financial background of what we're doing here, they bought this property for $4.85 million a year ago. The amount that they could possibly sell this property for today is immense. And
is what, though?
Give or take, I'd say probably give or take between $15 and $18 million.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they don't even own the whole thing. There's still another piece that Con Ed owns that they're currently going to lease for $33,000.
But they have that. They have that lease. They get a 99-year lease with the right to buy, if I'm not mistaken, which is worth a lot.
Buy it between $10 and $20 million.
10 and 20. Okay, so the bottom line is, they can actually look at a building worth, what, $15, $20 million and not lay out another penny.
That's correct. And to me, the story here is what they could flip this property for and potentially buy another property. I look at it where, first off, most communities are going to welcome this project with open arms because it's $100 million being invested in a neighborhood.
Exactly. And by the way, okay, let's do this. Let's see, Orchard Street, is that what you have?
Got Orchard Street. It is a 73,000 square foot potential build-out building. You're looking at right now, they're looking for a 13-story building. This is something that could accommodate them pretty much now without having to tear something down. So this is a great opportunity where right now it's being listed for $22.5 million, right in their wheelhouse, where they could potentially buy it, move in, obviously do some amenities inside, but get what they're looking for.
Okay, and then you also, Canal Street. This is real close, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is, to me, far enough away to hopefully make some people happy, but still close enough to the area that they're trying to service. Canal Street, another building, 60,000 square feet currently being offered for $17 million. And Canal Street, you're talking about a major avenue thoroughfare that most people, when they're going to come to New York City, are going to come to Canal Street, so they're going to get great exposure for having something so centrally located. We pulled up the tax records of the location, the Burlington Coat Factory. They paid $194,000 a year prior to selling it. If we applied the exact same tax structure to a $100 million for-profit building, the taxes would be about $5 million a year to the city. Big number. But it would still be the same deal if they went to one of these Orchard Street. If they went around the corner, if they went uptown, no matter where they're going to go, it's still going to bring the same revenue to the city, and it's still going to bring revenue to the local community. To me, that's the big thing here, is if I was a community, I want them because they're going to be bringing me revenue.
Are you a real estate broker?
I am a real estate broker.
Well, I think you should be calling the Imam saying, I have two other spots for you. Okay, Alan.
Revenue. Ground Zero really needs that revenue because it's been suffering ever since 9/11. So if you want to claim the mosque is at Ground Zero, then that would be a good reason to keep it where it is. I think as a matter of principle, they should keep it where it is. Canal Street's what, 10 blocks away? So what, 10 blocks is okay,
no,
but 2.5 blocks isn't? So would 5 blocks be okay? Would 6 blocks be okay? It's not about money. At this point, I think it's a matter of principle. They cannot move that much.
Honestly, I think we're hitting the thing right on the head. They don't want to move it.
They shouldn't.
They want to stick it in our face
where
they packed us, and that's what it's all about.
Wait a minute.
When you find out where some money's coming from, Alan, you're not coming to my house Christmas time. That's one thing
I never had that invitation anyway, so I'm not losing anything. The Imam who's doing this is one of them who attacked us? He did it?
What I'm saying is, I want to hear him denounce the radical.
Let's stay on topic. Let's stay. And by the way, guys, this is why we keep talking about it, is because it's it's a heated topic. Let's stay on the money here. They're making a lot of money on it. Even if they just turned around and said, I'll sell it for $15 million, they can move this thing. They can move this without a dime out of their pocket.
The point is not profit, Eric. The point here is putting this location right here. Look, they sought out this property for the deliberate purpose of provocation, for the deliberate purpose of putting a stake in the ground of victory. This is a symbol of victory. Listen to what the enemy is saying. Don't listen to Monica Crowley or Beau, Dietl or Alan Combs. Listen to what the enemy is saying about the symbolic importance of putting this mosque in.
Hold on, Beau.
But he's a broker. I want to know if he knows about the $18 million that was offered.
The $18 million that was offered that was turned down, that I can't answer for you. That to me, and that's why I believe it could be sold right now for a higher amount, because a year before they bought it, the seller
let me ask you this. By the fact that it's got such controversy surrounding it, has that raised the value of it?
At this point, I would say not. I mean, potentially you could have an investor come in for that specific purpose where they don't want this community center there. And keep in mind, we talk about it being a mosque. It's a community center. It's, if you can make it equivalent to a YMCA or a Jewish Y, that's what they're putting there. They're going to have a 2,000 square foot prayer center, but really what it's going to be, it's going to be an auditorium. It's going to have food centers. It's going to have all kinds of cultural things being offered to the public.
Anytime, a very, very smart gentleman, I'm not going to name him here because he's on the second floor, but he said whenever they tell you it's not about the money, it's always about the money.
I agree. It's always follow the money. We solve most crimes in America.
Mm-hmm. Where is this money? Are you not concerned about where $100 million is coming from?
Of course, everybody is. And in fact, we've talked about it on this program, that that's what you got to do. You got to follow the money and see where it's coming from, because he won't say where the money's coming from.
He hasn't raised any yet, Juan.
Well,
Number one. He hasn't raised any money yet.
Tell us where he's going
he
to get
hasn't
this money.
raised any money yet for this. No money's been raised. Number two, Bloomberg's been great on this. He said we shouldn't be looking at the money trail. Otherwise, you can look at the money trail for every synagogue, for every church. That's the last thing we should be doing.
Synagogues and churches don't have ties to radical Islam and elements that are trying to kill us, Alan.
No money raised.
So let's be really clear what we're dealing with. $100 million mosque. It's going to be built. Obviously, they can't materialize that kind of money out of thin air. It has to come from petrodollars. It has to come from Saudi Arabia. It has to come from Iran. It has to come from these radical groups, and that's exactly what it is.
We just kept missing one point here. If someone offers $18 million and they don't take, the point is what is the other side of the other thing that could happen?
The other side is we're not sure. We had Barbara Corcoran on last night who says there are a lot of things. Developers in Manhattan like to talk a big game. We're not sure that there was actually a real offer on the table. So give me a price for this building. What's it worth?
Well, again, $15 to $17 million in my estimation right now, and potentially it could be condos. I mean, that's what a developer can come in right now and turn this property into.
And Drew, we called you this afternoon at I think 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You came up with 5 or 6 how many?
They're out there.
How many viable alternate locations
the first location we found is the largest possible available spot in the Lower East Side.
Are there 5? Are there 10? Are there
I would
15?
say for this kind of size, you're probably talking anywhere between probably in single digits. Depending on what they're looking for, if they want to scale it down a little bit, well, then you have a potential amount, that.
At this point, I think they're going to scale it up a little bit. We're going to say thank you to Drew Kessler. Stick around. You won't